So after I log in, first page, data stores. Data stores is where you add your storage. And immediately, I'll go over here, click on add data store. From the drop down, I can choose whatever I want to add. And for this, I'll just say, I don't know, let's pick Azure NetApp files. From here, I put in the host name, I give it a display name, and I click discover. When I click discover, I already have one down here for us. It's going to automatically find the shares I have inside ANF. All I do is tell it I want to run the analytics, which is the green check mark next to it, which means the first share, I've got over, what is this, 698,000 directories, 7.3 million files. Mark it, Darren, what are you doing? You've got 9.5 million files out in Azure. Come on, man. All right. So I've got all my storage here, same thing. If I have an Isilon, if I have NetApp on-prem, it's going to discover. I give it a cluster name, I give it a zone name. It does everything for me. The only thing you have to do is check a box to say, I want the analytics to run, and it does everything here for you. All right, another cool thing is from here, but I'm gonna show you another screen as well. It's gonna report my cold data. I'm gonna go after Darren again. Darren, 50% of your data is cold. Why? Why is it here? What are you doing? All right, let's go to my plan page. This is what we call our data donut. So the data donut is simply a heat map, and it tells me how hot or cold my data is. Blue, obviously cold, red, hot. So let's see what's going on here, because I can see again from my entire storage environment. So this is all of my shares, all of my clusters, all of my zones. Over 50% of this data hasn't been touched in 1 year or more. So I can hover over top of each one of these different pieces of the heat map, and I can understand how much of my data is cold. 303 terabytes, 6.9 million files. Keep going around here. Another 297 terabytes. Another 612, round and round and round. So tell me a little bit more about this data. All right, well, let's go to our usage tab. So from here, I like to switch this to either, so by default, it's the size of files. I want to see this by the number of files. So, surprisingly, the largest category of files is video, followed by archive, log, documents, presentations. And again, you can see that heat map is integrated into the reporting. So there's over, just shy of 8 million files that are into the video category. Let's keep going down here. It's going to tell me the number of files by the size of files. This is really important when you start talking about your migration strategies, your data, your AI data ingestion, because small files are disruptive. Large files are easy to move around. You're going to know what your workloads are going to look like right up front. No surprises, no hidden features here. You know what you're doing right up here. I can actually see the top owners, I can see the top groups, and I can also see the top directories within the entire enterprise. All right. Analysis. So again, I'm looking at all of my shares. I can also drop this down and I can be very, very specific and say, I only want to see 1, 2, 5, whatever. I can choose what shares I want to report on. I'm going to continue to report across the enterprise. And here I can see the number of directories is 5.3 million directories. The average files per directory, 10 files. Average size of the directories. The total number of files. How many symbolic links? How many sparse files? It's all available here. One of the things that you won't see in this, but you will see in production, is some of the other areas that will get you in trouble on migrations. When I'm running an analytics in a real environment, there's one more tab that says information about the number of directories that have more than 100,000 files, or the number of directories that have less than 2 files per directory. More than 100,000 files, a lot of storage environments have problems processing those directories, so you know where they are up front. Same thing, small directories, you're cycling in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out as you're walking that directory structure. Again, it's all about knowing before you go. Know what you're getting yourself into so you're successful at your migration, AI journey, whatever it might be. Speaking of migrations, let's talk about that real quick. How easy is it to set up a migration? Well, simply add migration, come over here, choose your source. I'm going to say it's going to be an Isilon, and I'm going to pick, let's see here, marketing again.
Just make sure and leave all Drew's cold files up in Azure.
I'm going to choose my destination. All right. I'm going to choose marketing for ANF. I'm going to hit next. I'm going to choose my migration type. In here, there's going to be 4 different types if it's available to me. It's not, they're not all showing because it does a pre-check to see what's out there. Standard is your typical where you're going to have your source and destination match perfectly. If a file is deleted, it will also be deleted. If it's added, it will also be added. If permissions change, those will get copied over. If I started a migration with another tool or a manual process and it didn't work out the way I wanted to, there's another pop-up that would say, hey, this is preloaded, there's data out there. Do you want me to assume control of that data and pick up where the last tool left off? That's another option. Keep latest version. Keep latest version says I might have to do what's called a hot cutover, where I need to have applications accessible to the migrated data instantly. I can't wait for a final iteration to run. This says keep latest version because it's going to compare the source and the destination. Whichever side has the latest version will win. So you can take your write-intensive application, turn it over as fast as it takes you to update your DNS, and have your migration run in the background for the final iteration. Yeah, please.
You highlighted all the super cold files. Is this going to migrate all those cold files to the hot side of NetApp, or can you get them straight to cool?
You don't have to. So you can actually set up what's called smart data migration, which is where you tier and archive your data first. Tiering is actually one of the big components of Komprise. It uses our transparent move technology, where it will offload the data and leave a link behind, so your applications and users never have to adjust their procedures. It looks like a file, it acts like a file, and when they interact with that linked file, it will call it back from the object storage or wherever you choose to.
Well, that's what NetApp is doing, right, with their tiers already. I'm saying that if you're migrating from on-prem, from Isilon to ANF, what tier in ANF are we landing in?
You choose. Yep, you totally get to choose. So behind the scenes, when you set up your ANF, you choose what, for example, I think one of the questions was the flexible tier, right? So you could adjust your throughput, your IOPS, everything else. You choose all that up front.
Were you referring to, like, could you make it automatically go to the cool tier?
Yes.
Versus agent?
We got 9 million cold files in Isilon. I don't want to pay top dollar to
Yep.
the hot tier in ANF for 3 months before they go down.
Forgot to mention that as part of the
It's a big deal.
In addition to the flex service level pricing, which is a new pricing model, we also now have enabled cool tiering on the other tiers. So you can set policies, either snapshot only, or okay, these blocks of data haven't been written or read to in an amount of days, 20 days, 30 days. That moves to the cool tier, and that price again is obfuscated for the customer. You're not having to worry about the movement of data. You're just paying a flat rate for the amount of data that lands into the cool tier.
Yes, drops into blob storage.
Right.
And you do pay for the right to the storage, but then that's a one and done when you're good.
And the other option too is if you wanted to tier or archive before you even move the data, you can do that as well. So you can actually before you do your migration, enable the tiering operation, and you can actually write the data to blob, to whatever tier you want before you ever do your migration. So your migration goes from being this big to this big.
I'll have a reminder on that.
Perfect. All right, so there's the different flavors of migrations. You can choose schedules. Interval, which is just, or the interval iteration, which just says start so many hours, minutes, days, weeks from the last, or the traditional time of day. Maybe I want these to run at 7 o'clock at night after hours. You would choose time of day. Here's where you get to choose what options. Access time, ACLs, validate the transfer. Validate the transfer is your MD5 or hash values to prove that you actually did migrate the data. And the next is the summary screen. Down here, all I would do is hit start migration, and I've already got one running. So from here, I've got a migration running. I'm going to jump inside here. Left-hand side, source, right-hand side, destination. That gives me information about both sides. But down here, I'm going to see information about the iterations. How long is it taking? How many files? How many deletes? How many adds? How many permission changes? If there's any errors, they're going to be here. The settings that I chose are always down here. I can see what settings I chose, and I can also go up and I can change these settings too between iterations. And these are realistic numbers. I mean, having data flow at 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 files a second is right on par. Small data sets, not a problem. Large data sets, not a problem. We're here for you. So with that, let me jump back over the slides.